Hi, everybody, and good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be today. Delighted to be with you again for a special edition of our SolarWinds Briefings 2020. Today, we're going to talk around the kind of global crisis that the world has been facing in the recent months and weeks, and looks like continuing for a little bit of time into the future. So we wanted to have a discussion around that with some of my colleagues and how SolarWinds can help. So as an organization, SolarWinds, like many of you, all of our staff are working from home right now. And obviously, we've had to adapt to the changing environment fairly quickly. So we kind of understand some of the challenges and pressures that you guys are facing out there. And we are absolutely here to help you out as best as we possibly can. Towards the end of the webcast, we'll have a look at a resource center that we've created, which will allow you can log onto it and you can see some hints and tips and some blog posts and some interesting additional information from some of our customers in terms of what they're doing out there as well. Okay, so this has been a global situation. Obviously, this kicked off in Asia a number of months ago, probably towards the end of last year, and moving through January, February, March, escalated in that region. Obviously now across the European continent, we've seen the same crisis emerging, and I suppose right now Europe is at the epicenter of this, and also, of course, it's affecting the United States and every country in the world around today, right? So it's now a global situation, and we need to kind of manage it from a global perspective as best we possibly can. Delighted as well to be joined by my colleagues, Sasha Giese, our resident tech geek based in Berlin today. Hey, Sasha, how are you?
I'm very good. Sun is shining.
Very good. And we'll be joined by Tony Johnson in a little while as well. Sasha, obviously this slide here kind of just throws out some of the challenges we're hearing about in relation to the IT professionals that they have to manage around the world right now. So what are the ones that you would pick out as being probably the priority ones that they're looking at right now?
Well, the priority number one is VPN problems, saturation, and other random problems that come with VPN usage. And challenges are that both the IT professional as well as a normal employee like you and me are sitting somewhere at home. So if there's a problem on your machine or my machine, meeting up with someone from IT is a little bit more complicated than before. Also, all the organizations who are not that advanced in digital transformation, the situation for them is really painful right now because some old software or even old hardware needs to be accessible from a different location, which makes it a little bit more complicated. But yeah, in a nutshell, VPN, I think, is the number one problem right now.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to some of my colleagues in Dell Computers. I worked for many years in EMC, and of course Dell acquired EMC a number of years ago. So I was talking to them recently, and they were telling me that their kind of demand for their client business is increasing rapidly. So obviously companies are adapting very quickly to getting kind of laptops and Wi-Fi setups at home for people within the organization. I'm not sure I've been working from home now for the last few weeks. Luckily enough, I've got quite a good Wi-Fi connection here. I can imagine somebody who may be in a more remote location who doesn't have a good Wi-Fi signal, the challenges that's going to pose to them in different countries around the world. We'll talk a little bit about monitoring and kind of how we can help organizations to monitor from remote locations as well. And of course, the other thing that's popped up in the recent past is the applications that people are using out there. So obviously we're on WebEx today, but we've seen an increase in Zoom, Microsoft Teams, etc. And of course, we're using Teams ourselves within the organization here. So, lots of new technologies, people adapting, moving quickly to try to adapt to new things as fast as they possibly can, and to try and make sure that they keep the lights on in terms of the IT systems. Because, of course, the applications that everybody's using to run their businesses still have to run 24/7 as much as possible. Some industries we're seeing kind of an increase in activity, such as online shopping sites have gone through the roof. I was noticing Amazon's web price has gone crazy recently. You see streaming companies like Netflix and Disney growing the number of subscriptions they're having around the world. And obviously that's going to put a huge amount of pressure as well on the network bandwidth with the amount of traffic that's going through the global networks right now. So in a few minutes, we'll kind of go through some of the things we can do to help. But these are just some of the kind of challenges that we're seeing out there as well. Another one I came across was there's a company called B&Q. They're kind of a retail company in Europe who do kind of garden furniture, home maintenance type stuff, and they had to implement a virtual queue into their website recently as well because of the amount of demand on their online stores and so on. So that's a challenge. So what can SolarWinds bring to the party? Well, basically, we're a comprehensive IT operations management company. Obviously, we have a broad range of products that cover lots of different areas. Essentially, we've got this framework that we talk about in ITOM, or IT operations management. And within that, we've got 6 pillars, and within the pillars, we've got lots of different products that can help people for specific issues they may be facing right now. One area might be service management. This is where we're going to streamline requests, and it can be any request. And I'm sure the number of requests coming through right now must be a big increase in what it used to be, right? So, I need a new laptop. My laptop's not working. The light bulb next door to me is broken, whatever in the offices. And of course, people working from home now, they'll be having to send requests through digital format as opposed to walking up to the IT guy and asking him to fix their problems for them. So service management, we're probably going to see a spike in demand for things like IT help desk solutions or service desk solutions going forward. Application performance management, of course, is one of the critical ones, or probably the most critical one in here, because if applications degrade or fail, that's really where you're going to see the biggest impact on an organization and its users and its customers and suppliers and so on. Obviously, then the application is going to rely on a number of different elements of the database performances where they're required, whether they're traditional SQL databases or the new NoSQL Mongo type databases and so on. Infrastructure management being the server, the virtual machines, the storage devices, the operating systems, all important elements of supporting applications. And of course, we've mentioned already the network side of things. And what's interesting as well, we're seeing some kind of information coming back from customers around the adoption of SaaS solutions. So companies before who were not interested in doing SaaS have suddenly become interested in doing it because the business continuity of a SaaS application is far less complex than the business continuity of an on-premise application. So I think we might see this global situation actually increasing the speed and adoption of SaaS applications around the world as we go forward. And then the last piece there, the IT security, which is kind of vertical because it's covering all of the different elements, and security has a place to play in all the various layers and the pillars of the IT operations environment. So, these are the 6 pillars of our ITOM offering. The customers that we talk to and that are partners, and of course we rely on our partners heavily around the world to deliver these solutions out to customers and help them implement the solution and customize them and so on. So traditionally with the IT professionals, now we're talking to kind of IT director level, VP level, CIO, CISO level, CTO level in relation to the overall IT operations capability of an organization. And of course, we also can monitor both on-premise and cloud environments, and we can also deploy on-premise and in cloud as well. And we have SaaS offerings of our own included. So very flexible deployment options. The good news in this crisis from a SolarWinds perspective, I suppose, and any software company, is that the supply chain to the customers through the network, right? So it's downloads, implementations. And some people were saying to us, how do we remotely install some of our products? Well, the majority of people remotely install it anyway. They don't typically go to the data center, to the server that they're implementing the product. They'll do that from a client and use virtual machines and so on. So hopefully the ability for organizations out there and for IT pros to use our products hasn't changed, even if they're working from home. There may be some, obviously, VPN requirements, so they have security access and secure access into virtual machines to do it. But hopefully we can help you get those deployed as well. So these are some of the things we can do. We can monitor and troubleshoot, obviously, help you to continue to do that and maintain that and maintain your business continuity plan, maintain your business services, and help you to keep an eye on how they're performing and their availability levels, and any alerts that come up, you should be able to action those as well. Supporting the remote workforce, we've got a solution set within our service desk and with our kind of remote management products, remote technician products like Dameware or Dameware Remote Everywhere. We'll talk about that a little bit towards the end. And of course, we've got security solutions in terms of things like access rights management, which helps us to manage user permissions, even if that's from a remote location. And then importantly, the end user experience of the website monitoring stuff as well, which we'll demonstrate in a few minutes. Okay, so what have we seen out there in terms of things like dashboard creation? So we've seen these ones just in terms of the amount of how has the coronavirus pandemic impacted internet traffic. You can imagine it's increasing, and obviously that is the case. You can see the kind of the red hotspots over time and the growth levels that people are seeing within internet traffic. These are some interesting dashboards. You can get more information on these on our resource center. This is actually a dashboard that one of our customers created to monitor kind of VPN connectivity and also the impact of the time when everybody's logging in and the impact on bandwidth and throughput and so on. And then similarly, the amount of active sessions that are going on within the VPNs as well. So people can create these customized dashboards within these times of crisis to keep an eye on some of the critical elements to maintain the IT operations. Okay, and before we get to the Dameware Remote Everywhere, let's jump across to a quick demonstration. Sasha's going to bring us through a demonstration on some of the network monitoring solutions. We're also going to look at some of the website monitoring solutions as well. So give me 1 second here, and I'm going to pass the control over to Sasha as presenter. So Sasha, you are now in control, and we can have a look at some of the things that we can do practically on a day-to-day basis.
All right. So you should hopefully be able to see my browser.
Yeah, we're up and running there.
Okay, very good. So for anyone in the call who has never seen this page here, this is like a public demo system, and everyone can just pop into this URL and get a feeling for SolarWinds Orion system. But I'm going into full screen mode, and I think we're only going to show 2 things today, the most important elements. So as I pointed out, pain number 1 right now is VPN. Depending on what kind of VPN solution is already there, it's just okay to increase licensing. It's just it does cost a bit of money, but it's less painful than getting a complete set of new hardware if something is outdated or already on max, whatever, right? So we can monitor those. That's the good news. And we got a built-in support for the 2 most popular systems. So let's jump into Palo Alto. Usually we show Cisco, so today I want to start with Palo Alto. For the folks who are using Palo Alto firewalls, this is an out-of-the-box integration and is using an API to talk to Palo Alto. So whatever you see here, I'll click through the system while I'm talking. Whatever you see here is basically like 2-3 mouse clicks, and we pull the whole infrastructure. There's no panorama required, so we can talk to the firewall itself. And it doesn't matter if it's a virtual firewall or if it's like a physical PA box somewhere. So the problems right now are not so much into site-to-site connections, which is where you would usually expect a problem, but these days it's actually Global Protect or any connect for an ASA, where particularly a help desk needs access to such a tool, as it will automatically show who is connected right now, because many employees who are working from home for the first time are not really used to the concept of VPN. They try to access the resources like they did back in the office, and now stuff isn't working because there's no VPN connection. Okay, so having a quick look at such a simple dashboard here, it's out of the box, will solve the mystery. It will show that someone is actually on VPN right now or not, and also if an IP address is there and what's the information for the connection. We would also see policy information, and if there's a change somewhere in an access list, we would be able to check the flows of the data and see if there's a problem in the connectivity in between somewhere. But right now, site-to-site and Global Protect would be the number 1 source. Let's have a quick look and jump into an ASA. There should be, if you look for them here, there. So here's an ASA, and it's the same concept. It's again using the API, so we need an SSH account and get the full landscape information here, the whole platform, so for failover, whatever. And here's the connections, okay? And here would be my remote access and connect. Similar to what we saw a moment ago with Palo Alto. So this is super useful and out of the box, no manual interaction required. There's a few more things. The screenshots John shared earlier used another nice feature, which is called, sorry, it's called my mouse. I'm losing my mouse here. I should use a mouse pad. So we're using different features here, and one of them is called PerfStack. And the PerfStack is what we saw earlier. It's like a way to create your own dashboards using drag and drop. So whatever information is here, we could retrieve additional information from a different node. A node could be a firewall, but could also be like an email server, okay? And whatever information is collected by the SolarWinds system, the simple drag and drop, we can build our own dashboards. This was basically what John was sharing there, and particularly, John, the first screenshot you shared was a very useful dashboard because it was already showing the connections, etc.
That's right, and you can also drill into the PerfStack directly from the node page on the product as well. So if you go into the Palo Alto firewall or the ASA, there's an option there to take that node data and dump it straight into the PerfStack capability.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's pre-populated, so all the information is already there. We would see this here, right? Performance analyzer, and it will show a set of useful information right now, and it can be further customized with any information coming from the ASA landscape. So this is a really nice feature. Another thing, if so most applications are delivered by any kind of SAS these days, right? So it's not necessarily that whoever is using the tool right now here is actually hosting an application. So it might be sitting somewhere completely different. In that case, it's important to have a look at the delivery path is actually accessible from an endpoint to a cloud. So let's have a quick look into NetPath. Let's take Office 365 as an example. So basically, you define a destination, and we have various sources here. That would be data centers, offices, whatever, branches, right? And it will follow the path of TCP packages depending on whatever application it is. Because it's a TCP package, we need a port, okay? And it's basically a hop by hop path analysis. And we follow the 443 packages here. This will be my network. And somewhere here, we are in the public internet. Here is my internet service provider, including the autonomous system information. And it will show me various nodes over at, what was it, Charter Communications, whatever. And if there's something wrong here, you would just click on it and it will show information like ownership, who's responsible for this node, and how can I get in touch with these guys.
So that's very useful for anybody using SaaS applications out there. You know, if you're an organization who's running majority of your applications in SaaS, this is a very useful tool to police the network and make sure the availability of the network and performance of the network is meeting your needs. And again, you can do this all remotely as well, which is great.
Yeah, and just on that point, John, as well, you know, in this example here, it's from inside your network boundary, right? So typically from within your organization out to your SaaS application or TCP endpoint, anywhere. But this can equally be used to help diagnose the difference between how you and I both access an application in this working from home kind of environment, right? So I have a different internet provider, different peering partners. My traffic from home to Office 365 will take a completely different route than yours will. You can use NetPath because it's agent-based, install it on a Windows workstation, and once that can communicate with the Orion server, technicians and network admins can identify any issues that are outside of your network or access to the application on a per user basis.
Yeah, super stuff. And of course, this is once you get into Azure and places, you're into software-defined networks anyway, so that network is going to change itself depending on the best routing options, right?
Yep.
Oh, we would see this here. So this is basically Office 365 sits in Azure. So if you would travel back in time, it might look completely different a few minutes later.
Yeah.
I'm using a similar system to monitor Netflix at home. Don't ask me why. It's very, very similar.
I thought you would have been using it now to track the Zoom meetings been routed through, Eastern data centers.
To other locations. Yeah. Okay, so the other thing we probably would like to share with you is how to monitor a website, and it's independent of if it's hosted somewhere in a data center or in the cloud. I don't know, Tony, as you on the call, by the way, there was a new voice, Tony Johnson, product manager for your Orion platform.
Yes.
Do you want to run us through Web Performance Monitor for 2 minutes?
Sure, absolutely, can do.
Okay, I'll just make you presenter there, Tony.
Right, stop sharing.
Tony's presenter now.
And screen's coming through okay?
Not yet. Oh, it's on its way. There we go. Up and running.
Yes, so Web Performance Monitor is another one of the Orion platform modules that provides synthetic end-user monitoring based on a concept of transactions, which are further broken down into steps. So when we think of accessing something like Office 365 or Outlook Web Access or any web-based application, there's typically a sequence of events that a user will perform to accomplish a certain task, and that can be from logging in, searching for a product, adding the product to a cart, checking out, generating an invoice for a customer. Those sequence of steps are rolled up into what we call a transaction. So Web Performance Monitor is the ability to simulate that activity and identify any performance or issues with individual steps within those transactions. On the left-hand side, you can see all of the transactions, and what's interesting here is that these are grouped by location. So Web Performance Monitor offers you the ability to simulate these transactions from multiple locations. A location is simply a Windows machine whereby you have installed the playback software. So it's completely customizable in terms of where you test these applications from. Broken down by location and then by the name of the transaction. You can see a test here to our demo file server website from our East data center out to our Orion forum from the East data center. This one here is in a warning state, so let's drill down into it and see if we can identify what the problem is. So this transaction here is a collection of different steps, demo forums being the first one here is in a warning state. Immediately there, your attention is probably drawn to the transaction availability within the center of the screen here, and similar to NetPath's historical status, this shows me the change in status over time. Very easy here to change your time frame and understand the pattern of performance. A very nice feature here is the ability to take screenshots of each of these steps. Okay. So, for example, if a high-res JPEG was uploaded, or an image was missing, or there was a poor style sheet applied, technicians here can easily see what the end user is experiencing. They don't have to rely on the user to describe the problem. They can identify that from the screenshots within those steps. So if we drill down to the demo forum here, okay, we can see it is in a warning state, and that would, of course, trigger one of the out-of-the-box alerts, alert me when a step is in a warning or critical state. We can see the URL that we're going to, the playback interval, the actions within that step. So it's to navigate to this URL and then click on a specific link on that URL. And what actually happens during that step is identified in the TCP waterfall chart. This is a nice time series chart broken down by all of the events that are needed to fully render that page, from DNS lookup, connection, downloading content, perhaps there's a content missing or can't be found. We'll see all of those 300, 400, and 500 HTTP status codes, as well as time to first byte, which gives a good indication as to the responsiveness of the web server. So we can view that in a little bit more detail here. We can see all of the file names, all of the GIFs, the style sheets, the JavaScripts that are needed to render that page. So to kind of summarize Web Performance Monitor, it's simulating the end user behavior. It's not tracking any user's specific activity, but rather validating that your web-based application is performing, that each of the steps within those transactions are available, notifying you immediately of any performance degradation or issues that are impacting the availability of that web-based application.
And of course, an important aspect of this would be places like education and healthcare. So obviously schools, colleges, universities are closed for the most part around the world. So keeping students informed and parents informed in terms of day-to-day activities, remote learning classes, any scheduling, that kind of stuff. The website has absolutely gone to mission critical status. Similarly for healthcare in terms of COVID-19 information bulletins or whatever, those websites from the different health authorities are certainly mission critical as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Where we are now, website is the front of the company. So many businesses transitioning to online activity. Already stretched IT departments to kind of fulfill additional needs by having more public-facing content, and IT professionals need to validate that those solutions that they're putting in place are working, available, and performing well.
Absolutely. And of course, we have web performance monitors Tony's outlined here. We also have a SaaS offering called Pingdom, which I can show in a few minutes, Tony, actually. If you wanted to just jump into maybe alerts, because I also want to show Service Desk towards the end of the session as well. So if you want to kind of just show how we create an alert in Orion, and then I can show how that alert is managed within the Service Desk in a few minutes.
Absolutely. So Orion platform modules will come with many out-of-the-box alerts for the most common scenarios that customers have kind of described to us and that we've amassed through our experience down through the years. From the basic alert me when a node goes down to more complex alerts to look at CPU utilization on a process or service, down to IOPS on storage arrays, depending on which elements of your infrastructure you're monitoring. But given the breadth and scope of all of the modules in the Orion platform, the alerting is centralized across all of those. So it's a very minimal learning curve. Let me just clean up this page a little bit here to close the guided tours. And we can get in here to manage alerts. So creating a new alert is certainly possible, but you will see that there are hundreds of out-of-the-box alerts. Any alert that you define, okay, we'll just give it a name here. We're going to evaluate this alert every minute. We can reduce that frequency down to 15 seconds if necessary. The trigger condition can be based on any monitored element, so a node, volume, interface, application, component, access ports, ACI, Apex. There's quite an extensive list here in the demo site, given that all modules are present. But we'll just stick with the basic here application. We can define the actual trigger conditions. So when the status is down, so this tells me if any application is down, this alert will trigger. And what we want to happen to reset this alert. Okay, so when the application comes back up or changes state from down, we will reset this alert. If you're not 24/7, or if you need to control the specific time for this alert, you can do so here. So the alert can be enabled on a specific schedule. And onto the interesting part here, the trigger actions. So what do we actually want to do if this alert is detected. From here, you can add any number of actions. So you can take basic send me an email. You can execute an NCM action. If you have Network Configuration Manager installed, you have the ability to back up your configs, execute config scripts on your network devices. If you're running Virtualization Manager, you can take one of many actions here to change CPU and memory resources, power off machines, take snapshots, send an email, set a custom status, or perhaps you've got more of a kind of IT operations management approach to monitoring management and integrating with your help desk. You can create a SolarWinds Service Desk incident or a ServiceNow incident based on detection of this alert condition. That then feeds directly into your ticketing system to allow your first or second line support to kind of triage the case, and gives you two-way integration between the alert and the help desk platform, whether it's Service Desk or ServiceNow. So you can have visibility on the incident number, see who it's assigned to. If we navigate back here to all of the alerts, we might see some examples. Yes, so here we can see the incident number and who the incident is assigned to. If we drill down to the alert itself, we can see matching service incidents. Any alert notes would automatically be fed then and update the incident, and vice versa. If the incident is updated within Service Desk or ServiceNow, it will update the corresponding alert notes within Orion.
Yeah, perfect. And I can show that in the Service Desk in a couple of minutes. Okay, that's great, Tony. Thanks for that. So as we've seen, the VPN monitoring really critical. We've seen the website performance monitoring, and of course there's lots of other stuff, virtual machines, servers, applications themselves, all very important aspects that we can help you to monitor as well. So just want to share out a couple of things here as well to add to these. So the first one is a product called Pingdom. So like Web Performance Monitor, which is a licensed kind of product for on-premise, Pingdom is a SaaS version. So I've just put in here, let's have a look at this. This is a speed test site that you can just use as an example. So I put in amazon.co.uk. We're going to test it from a location. You can have multiple locations in here. I've just picked Germany, and we can run the test, and it'll go off and start checking the performance of amazon.co.uk as it is right now, if I was logging into there from Frankfurt in Germany. So it takes a couple of seconds just to run, but it's fairly quick, and then you come back. The good news for them is they're getting a B score, so like being in school for websites. So they've got an 87. Actually, that's an A in Ireland, isn't it?
That's an A, yeah.
So it kind of again shows you kind of a screenshot of the amazon.co.uk homepage. The scoring, the page size, the load time it took, the number of requests it needed to load the page, and so on. And of course in here, a bit like the Web Performance Monitor solution we have, it gives you that kind of waterfall charting as well in terms of times. So similar solution, different way of doing it. One is license-based, one is SaaS-based, and you can, of course, get free trials of all these things as you wish, right? The other thing I just wanted to show you was the Service Desk, if I can find it here. 1 second out. This is after a bit nuts on me. Hold on. Is this it? Yeah. So this is Service Desk interface. And this page here is this kind of service catalog. So basically, these are the most common type of requests that people have. You can put in, search, laptop, for example. Search for that, and it'll bring up all the services available for laptops. You can see some of them down here: new computer requests, loaner computer requests, password reset, which of course will be quite a common one as well. And you can send off the requests from there. If I jump back over to the platform, you'll see the kind of where the incidents are logged and managed. So this is the incident view. As you can see, password resets, replacing light bulbs. We got a high response time on a device coming from Orion. Yep. So here's an Orion alert popping up. And I do know I always use number 468. I keep jumping back to that one because I know it works. So number 468, same idea, high response time on an R1. It's an Orion alert. It's based in Europe. It's assigned out to Anthony to fix it. It's critical. And just to show you the integration to Orion, if I click on the alert from the service desk side, it'll give us some data on that alert. We're not monitoring that alert because it's a demo site, but over here you have your SLA data. So it'll tell you, how fast things are responded and actually right down to the resolution time. So you can manage the SLA times based in here as well. But if I click on the R1 in here, it'll actually open up the demo site, and logging in, it'll bring you straight to that node, right? So we're now on into that node where a network manager, network administrator will be looking at that and trying to get it back up and running as quickly as possible. And as you can see, you've got these alerts going on. And again, lots of the data that a network administrator will use to manage that alert as well. Again, you can see the integration back into things like Performance Analyzer here. So now I can present this data in visual format, as Sasha did earlier on for some of the ASA tools and for the Palo Alto. And as you can see, these are the alerts that are causing that issue on going into service desk. If you click on the alert, 1 second now. If I open up this, it'll bring up the alerts, and then again you can go straight into alerts from here. So you can see all this is integrated together to make it all seamless as much as we possibly can. The other integration with Service Desk as well is the Orion discovery. So anything that's discovered in the Orion platform, Service Desk has a discovery engine that also will import that into its inventory tool set as well. So listen, we spent a bit of time on this just to talk about through a few things that we can help you with, and some of the tools and technologies and solutions we have that will help IT pros around the world get through this crisis. One thing we are offering is DAMO Remote Everywhere, which is one of our SaaS products. We also have a product called DAMO Remote Support, which is a licensed product. And this is for technicians to log in remotely and help people to get their laptop back up and running, or their desktops, or whatever the case might be, to go and fix things, right? So because of the situation we're in, we've extended the free trial on this to 90 days or 3 months to help people, get that up and running, get to use it free of charge during this crisis, and help organizations as best we possibly can through that. Okay, so in a nutshell, we're here to help. It's SolarWinds, 3,100 odd people. We're all up and running on it every day. So if you have any questions, we'd certainly recommend that you go to our online community called THWACK. That's THWACK. It's got over 150,000 active participants up there. If you have any questions on IT or technology, there's also a resource center where we can help you get some more information on how to get through the COVID-19 situation. And again, let me just share my screen last time to show you how you can get access to that. So hopefully that's up there now. If you're going to SolarWinds.com at any time, or if you want access to the resource site, just go to SolarWinds.com and you'll see this orange banner here, visit the resource center. And if you click on that, there's lots of great information in there to help you through the situation. So we're here to help. We've got expert advice, we've got blogs, posts, we've got lots of various solutions on remote working. We've got monitoring Skype traffic, Zoom traffic, security features to help, and so on. And we'll continue to add to this throughout this situation, and we'll do our best to help you through it. Okay, so with that, I think we are done. So thank you very much for your time today. We do appreciate it, wherever you may be. Our key messages, stay safe. We will get through all of this, and we'll resume to some sort of normality in the hopefully not too distant future. So in the meantime, thank you all. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Tony, for jumping on today and helping us to see the practicalities of what we can do. Always a pleasure working with you guys. And also thanks to Aoife O'Shea, who was helping us to moderate this session today. So thanks you, Aoife. And we will see you all again in the not too distant future. Take care and goodbye.